engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome to Truth, Beer, and Podsequences, the show where we make you say, what? About the last week of Cincinnati craft beer-based media. I'm joined today by the two hostess with the mostest, Marco and Julia.
Hey now.
What's up?
Sup, nerds?
Oh, is that
it? That's what you got?
That's what I got.
Okay.
Okay, all right, well.
Hi, and welcome to Caroline from the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Yeah, welcome,
Thank you for that intro.
Yeah.
I don't think have we ever been introed by anybody else before?
No, it feels weird.
Even on the live shows? We didn't have a host to the live shows, did we?
No. Nope.
I'm your first. That's so
Yeah.
exciting. Thank you for letting me
That was a pretty
be
good
here.
job. That was a pretty good
That's
job.
all right, yeah. Yeah, I feel weird, though, because it's not our normal. Like, I had a plan for, like, my intro and stuff, and now I'm going, well, how the hell does this work now?
Yeah. Well, you are
So it
the best co-host in
completely
Podcast
threw me
Landia.
out.
That's Julia. She did amazing work over the beer vent season to not just shout out and highlight the beer vent box, which Caroline and her husband Joe did as well on the Craft Parenting Podcast, but all of the wonderful musings that you put together to put out onto all of the social medias, out there on Facebook and X and Blue Sky and
Whatever else. Whatever else happens to be out there. Too many anymore.
Tinder, whatever.
Mark, do you want to do disclaimers, drinking, like the normal stuff we do?
Yeah,
that I'm trying to tumble into getting back into.
Stumble and bumble and tumble. And so all the thoughts and opinions on this podcast are ours and ours alone. They do not reflect any entity which we may be affiliated with, such as full-time jobs, part-time jobs. Shout out to Higher Gravity, because we are at Higher Gravity Summit Park yet
Once again, yes.
We are back.
So close.
For another round of Truth, Beer, and Pod at Higher Gravity Summit Park. Thank you for being a gracious podcast host. So they do not reflect any entity which we may be affiliated with.
Yes.
And that includes Higher Gravity. No good craft beer podcast would be a good craft beer podcast if we weren't having beverages like those fake ass podcasts out there. And honestly, you know who you are. You know what you're doing, and quit fucking fooling the people. It's so painful when it's like, hey, we're getting together and we're going to talk about this and that, and we're in the craft beer space, and you're not drinking anything, you fake ass. Fakers, you fake ass fakers. But and look, I don't care if you're taking a break from alcohol. You can do that, but you can drink on a podcast, and you can tell people what you're having, and that's fine. And we as well have taken a break from alcohol. I think all of us have taken a break since 10 o'clock last night to now.
Yeah,
so
right.
we took a break. Guests go first. Caroline, what you drinking?
I am drinking a Moozy from Brink Brewing.
Yes.
Nice.
Moozy.
Likewise, same beer in my glass.
All right, Julia.
And
then
Mark?
I am having a Columbus Brewing IPA.
Excellent. Well, I have two fun things to kind of start the episode with before we start talking about the shows we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
One, I have started notebook number 6.
Hell
for
yeah.
Truth, Beer, and
What?
Podsequences. So
Woo.
that's almost, 2 notebooks a year-ish?
Yeah.
So we are on a roll. That means a hell of a lot of content that I've taken notes on, that Marco and I have taken notes on.
Both. Same notes.
And I wanted to read a review-ish of our show that I was sent.
Oh, let's go.
Yes.
I love this.
This is from Tone himself, the one and only.
No way.
You know him from Banter and Babble.
No way,
and
Tone?
occasionally from the Half-Ass Beer Review. Tone himself sent, you and Marco are so good at what you do. Hard to have a duo with good rapport like that and be funny as fuck. We're funny.
Wait, when did you guys start being funny?
I don't know. But Tone thinks we're funny.
Hell
and so we're
yeah.
doing something right or something really wrong.
Every time I see
don't
Dave
know yet.
Volkman, he praises us on our content. He praises you for being fantastic about And you are. And it's part of the reason why I said I want to do a podcast with Julia. And then he looks at me and he goes,
And you're funny
Marco,
sometimes.
you're getting better at being funny. You're getting better. Keep working at it. And I was like, I am not going to stop working at it. And hopefully I can get to be better.
Yeah, so Tone, thank you so very much. It has been an absolute joy to watch your content, Josh's content. Follow Half-Ass Beer Review and Banter and Babble.
Hell yeah.
They are great, even though they're from Michigan. You know, they're actually decent guys.
There's a couple of good people in Michigan.
There are a few.
There are a few.
And then shout out to Chris as well from Franklin. We can't leave him out.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll run into you guys again sometime soon for some more
Maybe
beers
up at
and just
New
more
Ales.
chaos.
Let's get together for a big bash at New Ales.
Sounds good to me. You can plan that. I don't like planning.
Okay.
All right, let's
I was
go
going to
ahead.
say I like bashing, but that sounds
Oh,
weird.
yeah, a little bit.
Let's
Little
bash.
bit. Let's not.
Okay.
Let's not.
All right.
Was that funny? Were we just funny right now?
I don't know.
I don't know. Tone, tell us because we don't
Dave,
know what to do
tell
with this. Dave, we don't know what to do
Work
with this
on it.
information. Okay, the shows that we are going to talk about today. We have an episode of the Brew Stool Perspective. I kind of started.
I love stool,
saying
Julia.
No. So Brett and Mike, we're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about Gnome's YouTube video that he did about sunflower
about stool.
from 51. No.
Oh, no, that was the-
No, not the, again, different
Different
show.
episode.
Different show. Entirely
Different show.
We're going to talk about Caroline and Joe and the Craft
Caroline.
Brewing podcast about Dry January.
Yeah.
We have... Everyone, hold on to your asses. We have an episode of Shift Beers to talk about. I know. I was beyond thrilled about that. And then we're just going to give the briefest of mentions about a Weekly Pint episode that tried to happen, but hopefully there is some content from that might come
Meh.
out in a bit. So you know what? I'm going to...
Can we make our recap of the Weekly Pint episode twice as long as the actual episode?
I think there's
I think we just
definite
did.
possibility.
I think we just did.
It's a very good possibility.
All right, so let's go ahead.
And also to tease the audience, we are going to have week 2 of the football deathmatch playoff challenge.
Yes. So speaking of that, I say
I won the
so
regular season.
You keep saying it. You don't have to rub it
What
in.
But it's
does
true.
win
Over and
really
over and over.
mean?
A 6-pack.
It means it's
from
yeah,
each
Yeah, that's exactly
them
it. So
is what it means.
He gets lots
I'm
of
for
Totally.
the participation trophy generation, so we all
Right.
get something.
Yeah.
No, that's not how the world works. Let's go ahead and just, again, the briefest of mentions about this week's attempt at a weekly pint. And then what do you say we just go ahead and do the deathmatch challenge?
Let's go.
Okay, so this would have been, I don't know, it all depends on what happens with the content that Gnome tried to record. Episode 244, the Cocktail Carnival has arrived.
Ah, the Carnival.
So many technical difficulties. My heart was breaking for Gnome because he was getting so mad.
So
He was
frustrated.
under the weather, and I mean, it just was.
You could hear it in his voice.
Yeah. Apparently, he had a shot of, was it Rumpelmans before I got
Yeah.
the notification.
He rolled over and he's like, I need a shot of Rumpelmans. And I was like,
I
we'll
thought
get
it
you
might
one if you need one.
decongest-
I thought that it
That's
might
his problem.
decongest him, but he's like, yeah, I think it made it worse. If he was able to get any actual content out of what he tried to record, he did call Josh and I to try to help with the cocktail carnival, and
Yeah.
it may or may not have been the absolute worst cocktail that he has ever had.
Okay.
Or it may have not been terrible, and my Josh somehow made it better by adding something that you would never think would make a cocktail better.
Weed.
If there was anything usable in what he recorded, maybe you'll find out.
All
Maybe
right.
these teasers are all you're gonna get.
Yeah. Lactose.
But lots of lactose, all the lactose. But with that being said, I think that it is.
Just hit
You
anything.
know what?
No, just go
No.
through some of the buttons.
You know, I think that it
No,
is-
New
I
Year,
think that
that's-
it's.
Oh,
We're
there
doing
we are.
this. We are doing
Done. The Rock.
This is so weird at one speed.
Yeah?
I was doing it at not
this.
one.
What is up, sir? You are.
I'm dying. That's what's
I
up.
know. Are you feeling any better at all?
Not really.
No. Well,
It's kind of been a miserable day.
we will make.
Did you have that peppermint I left on your pillow?
No.
That might have been what made you sick. Actually,
That
come
might
to
have
think
been
about it,
what's killing me.
that might have been it. Well, we'll make this fast so you can get back to resting and recuperating. It is deathmatch challenge time.
Get that challenge.
In the postseason, this is the last week that all of us can
Shit,
pick.
I should look at the match.
Probably should. That all of us can pick a different team. Because next week, it's the NFC and the
Gnome's
AFC
going Who Dey.
championships. He can. He
I
can.
might.
So, Gnome, I will give it over to you first, just so that,
I'm,
again,
I'm looking at the matchups right now.
I know who I want to pick.
Because
You better
I
not pick mine.
didn't-
You knew this was going to happen.
I have one that.
The fever is getting to him.
Okay, I think I have 2 picks, so I can if you are going to pick this one, I will be happy to switch mine.
All right.
But I'm going with the Lions.
Damn it, that's who I had.
Is that your pick? I'm more than happy to switch it if you would like
You sure?
me to.
You sure? I mean, I already have Lions under my name on the spreadsheet, but if you are feeling super strong about that, I'll let you have
I
it.
can do. Let's go. Ooh.
I know. I don't like.
Hang on, I'm looking here. I have this instinct.
Okay. Your
Let's-
instinct for the
let's go
Commanders
Bills
was
over
good.
the Ravens.
Bills? All right. Hell yeah, I would rather have the Bills beat the Ravens any day of the week. And Marco.
I think it's less of a sure thing. I'm pretty sure that the Lions are going to win.
Well, your thought about the Commanders worked out really well last week.
It did.
I mean, I was like, holy
Honestly,
shit, this
though,
is awesome.
the
It was
biggest.
not a great pick.
None of the
Just
playoff games,
luckily
none of the
worked
playoff
out.
games this weekend were exciting. Like none of them were fun to watch.
I think the most fun was the Doinker, the one.
The Commanders. Yeah, that
the
was
Commanders
that was,
and
but,
the.
but even leading up to that, it wasn't even overly.
But that was the
I don't know.
closest. That was the closest
Correct,
one
to an
I thought.
exciting game. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Everything else, man.
Yeah.
My problem is I always want to pick a team that I like instead
Right.
of actually picking a team that I think
I
is
know,
most likely
like-
to win.
like
Which is why neither of you would pick the Chiefs to win versus
Right,
the
exactly.
Texans,
Right.
and
Exactly.
I'm going to.
That is.
that's a solid
And
pick.
I just want to say this as a caveat.
I'm gonna put
I think
chefs
the
in my phone
Rams
because
are
that's gonna
going
be
to
fun.
beat the Eagles.
I just hope that
I picked Kansas City, but I
Yeah,
think the
but you
Rams are
think-
going to beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
I think you're right on that one too.
I would not. I would not be.
I think
too
the
surprised
Rams
if-
is the crazy team where they actually got healthy at the right time, and if they were healthy all season, we're probably going to be way better than their record.
Yeah, but against the Vikings, there were some absolute shit calls from the refs. On the
Yeah, that's
no
what
call for
did
that
it.
forward pass, that was absolutely
Yeah.
that is
Yeah, that's
my
what did it.
stance. That is my stance, and I'm sticking with it.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
I think we're all going to get a point this week.
All right, I like the way you're thinking. I like the optimism. And I am optimistic that starting tomorrow, you'll be back on the upswing and starting to feel better. So we will let you go so that you can try to avoid the children and the dog and just relax.
I don't think I can get the dog sick. I don't know how that works.
Well, as far as like them bothering you, that's
Oh,
more of what I was
well.
thinking. Like,
is the dog snuggly yet, or is he still chewy?
Oh no, he's snuggly.
Okay, that's good.
all right,
He's
well,
sitting on the couch snuggling right now.
nice.
Nice.
That is fantastic. All right, well, tell the family that we say hi, rest up, feel better, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds
All
good.
right.
See you, buddy. Take care.
Yeah, bye. All right, we have 3 more weeks of the postseason. This is, again, the last week that we all get to pick a different team.
Yeah.
Next week will be the first week that we can all pick the same team if we want, and everyone will get a point, and we'll just have to figure out how we are doing the combined winner for the end of the postseason. Do we want to finish up with Gnomage?
Yeah,
and talk
let's
about
go.
his YouTube episode.
We don't usually
about-
start off and finish early with Gnomage, so let's go.
All right, let's do this. This is a YouTube episode called "I Need Some Sunkissed Flavors," trying a sunflower THC seltzer from 50 West, which is a bit of a lie because he's had them before, so he wasn't trying them.
Yeah, but he didn't video document it.
That's true. So maybe it never happened.
It's video magic, Julia. He immediately
okay.
dumps everything from his brain about
And
that
it's about-
before he goes to record.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Video magic.
This was a 7-minute episode, so
now.
not a ton. This isn't going to be super long. Marco.
Hey now.
There we go. A recap. He had again the orange cream pop.
Hey now.
This is, depending on your definition, dry January approved because it doesn't contain any alcohol at all.
That's funny.
5 milligrams of THC, and Gnome has no idea how to consume THC beverages. Do you drink from the can? Do you put it in a glass? Do you put it over ice? How are you
Well, he has a
supposed to
drinking
consume
problem,
it?
so when he went to put it to his mouth, he just poured it all over his shoulder. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just-
I vote shotgun.
He had asked like what's proper
he
glass.
put it in a water. He put it in a water pistol and was trying to
is
shoot
wrong.
it into his mouth, but it just went up his nose.
Everyone knows that the proper Everyone knows that the proper glassware to consume THC with is a
It's
bong.
a bong.
Yes. So
That does make the most sense.
50 West needs to get on having a bong-shaped glass for their THC beverages.
Yeah.
What could go wrong with that?
I feel like there's a glassware that kind of fits that, but I don't remember what it is now. It's gonna bug me until I can.
You'll remember it on the drive.
Yep, I'll remember it on the drive home.
Maybe you can create one, and you and Joe can put out branded glassware for THC.
Yeah, we got
beverages.
branded
Oh, there we go.
coasters now,
There we
so we
Yeah.
could do that.
So you know what happens to branded coasters? They end up under the shuffleboard table, high
Yeah.
gravity summit.
Or the table legs that are not even. You just
Hey, you know what?
Hey,
You
these
know
are
what I say to
nice
that?
slate
They're
coasters.
useful. He talked about how it smelled, how it tastes, all the good stuff, and will it replace beer for Gnome in dry periods for him? Watch the episode to find out.
yeah.
Yeah. And then I did count the number of sniffs and sips in this 7-minute episode.
Very good.
There were 2 sips, so he drank it twice, and then he smelled it 8 times.
Okay.
10 countable.
10 counts. 20
ounces, so a little over.
Over a pint.
Yeah.
Weren't there 3 cans in the box?
He only tried the one.
Okay.
All right, so do we want to go to Barstool Perspective? Do we want to go to Craft Parenting Pod? Or do we want to go to Shift Beers?
You know what? Let's end on shift beers.
All right.
Make it
That'd be
classic.
fun.
That doesn't help with what we're doing next.
Nope.
And let's
So
go to
Caroline, you get to pick. So Marco picked the final show. Caroline, you get to pick what we're doing now.
Let's do Barstool Perspective.
All right.
Barstool
All right.
Perspective.
This was the episode.
I
that-
love hearing from Michael brings the D Morgan.
Yeah,
Yes,
I do as
everyone
well.
does.
I do as
Everyone
well.
does.
I'm still
This-
waiting for him to text me back, but
He's
I think
probably
there's a
still mad
restraining
about the
order?
missing glass, the missing glassware, which they
no,
haven't mentioned.
that had nothing to do with me because
Oh.
the glass I was using was on the show this past
Oh
week.
no, I'm talking about the one that I mentioned last week. That
Oh,
I
that
may or,
you may or
yeah,
not. Okay,
yeah.
all
So no, they probably aren't talking to you because they're not sure which of us was the ringleader in that.
Yeah.
and so they're not talking to either
Caroline's
of
not
us.
sure what we're talking
that
about.
glass you're using is not a higher gravity glass, Julia. Where'd you get that from?
We don't need to talk about this.
Oh, sorry.
This doesn't need-
My bad.
It absolutely is a higher.
I do
gravity
also
brand.
wanna
I see it
ask-
over there in
See, there
Sharpie.
you go. There-
Okay. Okay.
I do also want to say that this is the second week in a row that Brett's using the glass that looks like the teacher in SpongeBob, like the pufferfish teacher or
I
whatever.
made that. I made that his contact picture in my phone.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I don't know what it is, and I'm like, there we go.
Well, at least you
Therefore,
have
it's
him
now-
as a contact. I have him as like, you know.
He speaks to you through a lawyer.
Right.
Ex-
Yeah,
Michael
exactly.
D. Morgan.
No. Mike is.
Oh,
Mike uses
another
a different
lawyer.
lawyer.
no, Mike. There's a degree of separation there.
Yeah.
Mike's too smart
there
for
has
that.
to be for legal reasons. There's,
He thought he was safe. He's like, I
No.
shop at Aldi, and Marco's never going to shop at Aldi. And then
And
this past
now,
weekend, I shopped at Aldi, and I'm like, now
Ooh.
I need to go to Kentucky to shop at Aldi to see
so
what
now
you have
Marco
going on.
is stalking Mike, or continuing to stalk. He's
no,
getting closer.
I-
Ooh,
no,
all right.
I'm not
No.
stalking him. I just know where he is
at all times.
at all times.
All right.
23 out of 24 hours of the day.
All right.
This was the episode that went live on January the 10th, 2025, and it only took Mike 3 minutes to break Brett. It was absolutely spectacular. I don't know how he manages to do it. I want to say before we talk about the episode, watch their shorts on YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday. they are going to be putting out a short where they are going to be trying to find the best, worst beer in the world.
Yeah.
Part 1 was Colt 45 versus Steel Reserve, which tells you everything you need to know, so you need to watch all of these.
It was good.
And they said if people actually watch these and like the videos, they will do more like this.
I thought
we need everyone.
I thought the video was
I'm
fun.
going to go and like the video right now.
I thought the video was fun because it
it's
has
great.
Brett in like silhouette,
Yeah.
and then it has Mike in like straight on form, like
Like I don't know what's going on. It is
it was fun.
fantastic.
I think they were very good, and it also makes me think. I don't know why we couldn't do this. Oh, by the way, that's just extra work.
Yes, we don't have a producer like they do.
No,
so-
we have an excellent producer.
This is
it's
true.
you.
Not for video. That is Gnome.
That's
when we kind of convince him, hey, do you mind doing this thing that just pisses
Well, he's not
Julia
doing
off
anything
in a
right
way?
now except being sick. We can send
You
him
know
a video.
what? Let's do it.
Let's send him a
Do it.
video.
All right. Okay. We'll get on that right after we do this
Yeah.
episode. Is the apocalypse a slow burn and not an immediate flash? That
think-
is an interesting perspective. They might
Yeah.
be onto something with that.
I think most civilizations, other than the dinosaurs, where a meteor hit and then everything just kind of
was a literal flash, yeah.
like flew into a pyroclastic ash sort of scenario, worst case scenario. Caroline, you like that I use that pyroclastic ash thing there?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what the scenario is.
Well, it either
not
happens.
paying attention.
No, not at all.
No.
It either the apocalypse either happens all at once, like it's just a
Yeah,
bang,
well, no, it depends
or
on-
it's like
Well,
a bunch of little things.
What's the apocalypse? Is the apocalypse like we kill ourselves? That's
the
going to
end-
take a while.
the end of civilization
Or
as we know it.
Is it a meteor came and killed us? Or
With
is
the
it
pyroclastic ash.
Right.
Or is it- yeah.
The slow burn versus the immediate boom.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic that they touched on 2025 alcohol trends. This is one of the things that made Mike just fucking lose it, and I loved it
Oh,
so
my God.
much.
How about this? The zebra.
Zebra striping.
Zebra striping.
Just guess.
I think it's a
Just
lot like
guess what
fruit
that is.
stripe gum, in which it
doesn't
has
exist anymore.
it doesn't last very long.
I found out that no longer is a thing. That they finally discontinued fruit stripe gum.
Well, because it doesn't,
It doesn't
last.
last. Well, it lasted longer than we thought it would.
Well, yeah.
Unlike fruit
Hey
stripe
now.
gum.
Hey now.
An overnight experience, or I'm sorry, one night experience.
Hey
which
now.
could be overnight experiences too.
There you go, Caroline.
Good God. Let's
A
see.
one-night experience.
Yeah.
Caroline.
Which it makes sense.
Caroline. So take us through a one-night experience.
Yeah.
it's where it's very hyped up for this big thing that's going to happen, and you're super excited about it, and then it just doesn't quite deliver.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're
There's
speaking
a
from
climax
personal experience.
and a release, and then it's just not as big as you had hoped.
Yeah, you need 2 nights to have a good time.
So it's basically like getting all your friends together, going to a paint night at a establishment,
Yeah.
and then all of you having 2 glasses of wine, and then you're all saying, "Well, is that it? Is that all there is?" And then you all have some, sad paintings of, bushes.
A wine glass in front of an ocean or something like that.
Yeah.
ChatGPT planning your trips. Is it a good idea? And Mike actually had a really interesting take on this that I wasn't sure I agreed with until he got to the end of his explanation on why he thinks that ChatGPT should be offering people suggested breweries to go to, suggested places to visit, instead of the typical go to a place and ask the bartender, ask the server, ask whoever, hey, where else should I go to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
So-
you agree with that, or do you think that we should leave it to AI to...
I think there's a really hilarious way of Mike throwing a middle finger to it, because
Yes, but his reasoning for saying, sure, it's a good idea with that middle finger, both middle fingers in the air, was actually really brilliant.
It was, but it's a circle back kind of situation.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I,
Caroline.
for one, hail our Google overlords and look forward to them taking over our entire existence. I mean, it kind of depends on the situation. In Indianapolis, when we initially were going there, I thought we were for sure going to be dependent completely on where does the internet say that we can go. Because initially, up until like 6 months before our visit, kids weren't allowed in the bulk of breweries in Indiana. So it was like, if we wanted to go somewhere, we had to super plan it out.
Figure
It's
out,
not
yeah,
like we're going to try to find a sitter in Indianapolis to watch the kids for 3 hours so we can go drink.
Is that a thing? Could you? Is there
So-
find a sitter? Is there like
there's-
is there a Google Sphere or a
Kind of like
AI?
Kind of like an
fun-
Uber, but for kids. Like, they wouldn't take them anywhere, but like, yeah.
There is.
Okay.
I don't remember what it is.
Would you trust something like
It's
that?
like Nanny.com
Yeah, sure, why
or
not?
something like that. I would not trust it.
But you get into a strange
But-
car and go somewhere. Why wouldn't you trust
it's-
somebody with your kid?
When I was
Fair.
growing up, it was
Fair.
don't get into strangers' cars and don't listen to anybody on the internet. And now it is call some stranger up on the internet to take you somewhere in their
Specifically
car.
to get into their car, yeah. Mike has a sixth sense to detect dive bars, which is
I feel
could
like-
be a very good.
I feel
sense
like
to have.
Julia,
He is.
slightly on the edge of the age group that I'm associated with.
We're close.
And Mike, what's so weird is that Mike's fairly close to the younger side of like our age group.
Yep.
I feel like I could have done that. Like in my
But you
younger
know
days.
what? Yeah.
In my
Yeah.
younger days. Now today, no. That sort of radar is gone. Like any radar for anything for me is almost gone, other than smelling out beer and coffee, and then being able to detect if someone's having cannabis. But I used to feel like in my younger days I could sniff out a bar. Yeah,
right.
I could sniff. Being from New Orleans, I could sniff out a bar. I could sniff out one that has some titties.
So in New Orleans, that'd be all of them.
No, no.
3/4 of
Three
them.
quarters of them.
Yeah.
Specifically, the French three-quarter. No, that didn't really work.
Wow.
I was trying to make a thing happen.
Yeah,
That could be
French
a thing.
quarter,
A French
Yeah.
three.
The French third quarter.
I don't know.
I don't know. You guys both knew
Yeah.
where I was going with that. And Tone, was that funny? I mean, let me know. Let me know if that hit. Tone, I'm going to be calling you out all episode because I appreciate you, and that just absolutely
Made our day.
made our day. Warning labels on beer. Cancer causing. We kind of talked about this a week or two. We've talked about this a couple times.
I don't-
already. Basically, just moderation. Just
I don't love it
life
because
causes cancer. So
all they're doing is saying that this may contribute or this
breathing air
it's not
may contribute.
definitive
It's
that
not-
any of
no,
this
no.
causes any of it, other than
Right.
like what Brett and Mike were talking about with tobacco. Clearly, tobacco causes cancer.
Sure.
Yeah.
They're saying that alcohol could,
Sure.
alcohol might. Alcohol
You're-
could be a contributing factor.
Sure.
It's not definitive that alcohol actually does. And all
Right.
you're doing is saying that these factors sort of muddy the waters for the others. There's no warning label on all these sugar things that we have
Yeah.
as a society.
Yeah.
I feel and I agree that this is a far bigger epidemic than alcohol possibly might be. Look, nobody thinks alcohol is good, but there's too many people out there that think sugar's not bad.
Yes,
And
yes, I would agree.
I'm not advocating that every box of cereal has, this may cause diabetes or this may cause cancer. But look, this is all because of different lobbies and lobbyists trying to make you think that or cause a distraction in, a divert attention into, the other things that really, honestly, we should be paying more attention to.
Can we start off with like putting on the things that can actually possibly kill you on the label? Like, hey, this contains peanuts, or this could contain
yeah.
tree nuts, or this could contain lactose.
and, yeah.
Like putting the allergens
Yes.
on the labels
Yes.
first for the immediate death / very
Yeah.
discomfort
Something
items.
that might impact
and
you
then we
now.
can focus
Yeah.
on the
I like that.
this might
Or-
happen in 15 years.
Yeah,
Moving on in this episode.
we should.
One of my favorite parts of this episode was when they said, okay, we're running a little long, so we're not going to talk about the story. And then they proceeded to
Love it.
talk about the
Hell
story
yeah.
for multiple minutes.
That's the way we do it.
Absolutely fantastic. A couple other notes on this episode. Red wine drinking in France has gone down from a bottle a day in the 70s to 1 to 2 a month, which...
I don't believe him.
Whoa.
Okay.
I don't. There is no fucking way that that's the case.
I want to say it's on average and not like I think the older generations that were doing the bottle a day are probably still doing a bottle a day, but the newer generations, the younger drinkers, it's not that same volume. I want to say that's what they were talking about with this specific story.
Are they drinking other things? I don't know.
Unclear.
Yeah.
Situation very unclear. And this, we find out that Mike speaks French. He said an absolutely beautiful, eloquent, it was a short French phrase, but my God, it brought a tear to my eye. Let's see, restaurants and cyber attacks, no one is safe. And go to CincinnatiBeerBook.com for not only Tanked in Cincinnati, but the other books that Mike has written.
There are.
Support them. Buy them
There are.
and try not to buy them on Amazon. Support local.
He's a well-published
He's a great
author.
writer, yeah.
Great writer.
I've read all the
and
books that he has published, and they're fantastic. I
So
absolutely
is
love them.
Caroline.
Yeah.
I checked one of them out from the library.
Marco
great.
has flipped through a couple of them. He likes the pictures. The pictures are spectacular.
The pictures are real pretty. They help tell the story.
Yes, they absolutely do. And then they did their From the Can beer review, which they weren't sure they were going to do, where it was kind of like, are we going to do this? And Mike's like, fuck it, yeah, let's do
Yeah.
this.
Hell yeah.
So that brings us to our counts for this episode, unless either of you had any other notes on
No,
this
no,
episode.
no.
Okay, all right.
You got all my notes.
All right, excellent. I know I kind of stole them from you. I'm like, oh, you have good notes. I'm taking those for myself.
Caroline does.
She does. Excellent notes. Mike took 18 sips. And get ready for this one, Marco. Brett took 18 sips.
Wow. 36?
They were on track. It was great. Well, I also added a count because there were some audible burps this episode.
Okay.
Normally
classic.
you can kind of see like the
Love
there's something,
it.
but it's a silent. These were audible, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm adding this to the count because why the hell not? We don't get burp counts anymore until this
See, bip.
week. A little bit of a well, no, it's not a teaser. We said what shows we were going to be talking about. 3 audible burps as well. All from the same person. Watch this episode to find out who broke the seal, so to speak, in this specific aspect. So that's a total of 29 count. Nope, that's not right math, is it?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Ooh, I fucked
That's
up.
36.
I
Yep,
fucked
That's
36.
up.
39.
Yeah.
39.
Yeah, so what is that when you add them together?
2
Well, Caroline, I,
and
like, literally just said-
0.25 pints.
30 blah, 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 blah. 39. I said 29, so maybe I just miswrote it. I don't know. But that's, multiply that by 2 and then divide it by 16. And then you get the number of pints that they drank in this 39-minute episode.
Which was a number. Do math this week.
Do math. Do your own math. I can't be responsible for doing the math for all of you listeners week in and week out. Come on. You guys have to put a little bit of the effort in. We have 2 more shows to talk about, but I think we need to take a break first.
Yeah, let's
Quick
go.
break.
Quick break, and then we're going to talk about Craft Parenting Podcast and our favorite show of the entire universe,
Shooter
Ship beers.
Cheers.
Oh, Sonic Stories. No.
Oh.
Sorry.
Aw.
My bad.
Sorry, Danny.
R.I.P..
We still love you. All right, we'll be right back.
Right back.
We all have fresh glasses in front of us. Mm-hmm. Fresh glasses containing things, I guess, is probably
Yeah.
more appropriate to say. Tone, was that funny? Let me know.
I have a glass of water.
You do, and I'm going to get one of those next because hydration is key. You know what, Marco? You may be zebra striping. Cheers to zebra striping and fruit stripe
How about
gum.
that?
Cheers.
Fruit stripe
cheers,
gum.
Cheers. Caroline, what do you have in your glass?
I have a little runner, or no, maybe. I want to say rum runner, but that's not what it
That's
is.
not it?
It's a coffee milk stout from Little Fish.
Oh, okay, nice. So you're doing the whole kind of milk stout thing tonight. You had a Musi, and now you have a coffee milk stout.
Yes.
I will say, one thing that I like to do here at Higher Gravity is when I get something like a coffee stout or coffee milk stout, especially the ones on Nitro, I ask them to do like 75 or 80% of the beer, and then the rest of it with their cold brew on tap. Add a little extra coffee to it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Exactly.
I would like to sleep tonight. Otherwise, I would totally do that.
I don't know. Caffeine doesn't impact me that much. So it's like I have a latte when I get here typically, and then by the time I get home,
Yeah,
I'm like,
you have
okay,
a
I'm going to
latte.
sleep. I have a latte to talk about. No, that was bad. That was bad.
Wow.
Tone, don't say that was funny. That was
Julia.
not funny. That was awful. I have so you're drinking water. Caroline has a milk stout, and I have something that is brand new to Higher Gravity Summit Park. Something that I have been begging for months and months and months, and it has finally happened. Mad Trees Double Seeing Colors. This has been my go-to beer at home for since it came out.
Really?
There is something just spectacular about
great.
this beer that is just
So
hitting
you have
just
Dippa Josh,
right.
and then we have Double Seeing Colors Julia.
Yeah. All right. What do you say we get into Craft Parenting Podcast episode 235? What is Dry January and what are the options?
Yeah.
And I think I saw, I wasn't able to watch the YouTube video and listen to the show, but I think they had different titles between
It's
the two.
very possible. I'm the pretty face. Joe does 90% of the work.
So you don't even do the quality control.
No.
Oh, okay. Hey, you know what?
I probably should at some point, but he's been doing a good job.
He has been doing a good job. Props to him.
He's been doing his job.
Joe was drinking a Weihenstephaner non-alcoholic beer. You were drinking a...
I did on the last show that we had.
Yeah,
but
you did,
but
yeah.
yours was definitely fresher because I don't know how long that beer was in the back of our fridge.
I tell you what, the one I had was not fantastic.
At this point, I mean, so we're a solid 2 weeks into Dry January now. I don't know what Joe's taste buds are at because he's asking me to buy non-alcoholic wine, and like I take a sip of it and I'm like, this is not it for me, and he's still like, this is okay.
I mean,
I'm gonna do this.
Non-alcoholic beer has definitely gotten better, even in we'll just say the 3 years that we've been doing this show.
Yeah.
It has improved
It definitely has.
greatly in
Oh, for
Leaps
sure.
and
options,
bounds.
yeah.
Leaps and bounds.
But it's still, to me, other than, I think Guinness Zero is still kind of the closest. But there's still something
there's
about
a
either the
lot of
mouthfeel or the
offerings.
flavor. Yeah.
There's a lot of offerings out there that if you want a hoppy beer or if you want a beer that tastes like a Pilsner, I mean, they're fine. If you want a beer that tastes like a Kolsch, they're fine options. They're fine alternatives. They don't taste like the actual beer, but
they're getting closer and closer.
They're very close and close enough to fully replace
kind of.
and satisfy somebody who is not going to. I just want to make that clear. If you are not going to have an alcoholic drink, those beers are absolutely fantastic replacement. Now, if you're not going to have a wine, I have had some non-alcoholic wine or de-alcoholize the wine, and I even serve it at the place I work at. I bring it in. You can buy it by the glass or the bottle. They're fine, but the heat that you get from a wine is not there, and that's part of what you're looking for out of the wine. Is there's a little bit of heat to it, even if it's a Riesling or a sparkling or like you still get.
I'm not a wine drinker at all, so I have no idea what that means. Is that the same as like a spirit, like that whiskey burn kind of thing?
A little bit.
Okay.
A touch.
But yeah. I mean,
A
like,
touch.
Okay. Probably not as extreme, I would imagine.
It's what lets you know that you're drinking something that's for adults versus something that's youth approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Personally, I would rather drink grape juice than something that went through the process to become wine and then had the alcohol
Removed from it. That's fair. I do need to check out the YouTube episode for this because apparently you, Caroline, were drinking a sour from Elijah, and you apparently had an amazing reaction.
A Tayberry?
It was a pretty good reaction because I completely forgot what I was about to drink.
I
And
would
was like,
imagine
oh,
that
And Joe
I
mentioned
have.
it. You said first, and then Joe kind of recapped this a little later in the episode. Dry January started in England in 2014, and then you gave some absolutely not medical advice about
Correct.
drinking while pregnant and breastfeeding. So if you have any questions, concerns, thoughts about that, and you're watching this episode, it is not medical advice, so
Nope.
you cannot come after Truth, Beer, and Consequences or Craft Parenting Podcast or any of us as individuals because That's not.
I
what
think
we,
there was a little bit of a funny part there where Joe asked an extremely pertinent question to Caroline, and he's like, "How did so and so know you were pregnant?" And Caroline just went, "Oh well, it's kind of just
gray areas,
and you just kind of skirted past how." Maybe a friend of yours knew that you were pregnant before Joe found out that you were pregnant.
Sometimes things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, what a woman decides to tell anybody about her body is their business.
Absolutely.
So how about that?
So Joe went into why he's doing dry January. It is because the Michael Jackson of German dancing is coming out of retirement, and he needs to be at his very best.
And he thought it would make his hands grow, but it didn't.
Well, it's only 2 weeks in. He still has another 2-ish weeks to see.
These things take time.
Yeah. He didn't grow those hands overnight, so you can't expect them to increase in size, in an instant. Let's see, you guys talked about why people die while shoveling snow. Again, not medical advice, but you gave a couple of, you really need to be careful about these kinds of things.
I feel like...
I could have used that information.
It's funny.
What?
It's funny and it's true.
It's serious,
it's an urban legend, and yet there's truth to it. Like, there's dangers in...
Well, urban legends and, superstitions and stereotypes, they're all based on some sort of fact or reason.
There's some small grain of truth there.
They came from somewhere.
And I think what it is because snow doesn't care whether you're old or young, white, black, Hispanic, or... it doesn't care your nation of origin or how long, you've lived in the United States or whether you took a boat to get here.
Sure.
It just dumps on your house.
And everywhere else.
And then you have to go take care of it.
So don't give a fuck.
No matter your age, race, religion, or creed, you need to go out there and fucking move it.
But let's go ahead and kind of finish the recap of this. It's already at an hour and 16 minutes, and we still have shift beers to talk about, which that could be another whole hour depending on how we do this. I only had 2 other notes on this episode. No one drinks O'Doul's because they want to.
I would agree that...
I've never had it, so I don't have experience with what it is or is not.
So 20 plus years ago,
that was one of the only things.
One of the only things, and then there were some others there were others. Sharps came out. I think that was a Coors product, but
I feel like I remember hearing that name at some point.
But anyway, O'Doul's was a product that had been around, and
I'm just surprised it still is.
I would agree
it's
that
Anheuser-Busch, so they can keep it limping along for sure.
I would agree it was a product that seemed like it was a product for people who wanted to drink but couldn't drink. It wasn't a product of...
It wasn't like a beer drinker's product.
Let's moderate, and here's O'Doul's.
It's not untitled art. Like, hey, this is really good tasting.
Yeah. It that's sort of seemed like the space it occupied.
Yeah.
And yes, it was ahead of its time because now I would say we're in the heyday of non-alcoholic beers.
Sure.
And that escalated quickly because here's what happens. At some point, just like with hazy IPAs, and they were so secretive about how to make them, eventually people found out how to make them. Yeah. And then that spread, and then how to make non-alcoholic beers spread. However, what I would say is it's still extremely laborious and extremely expensive. So it's not, that's the reason why you don't see everybody making them.
Right.
You only see certain places making them, but certain places get their identity from making them. And so there you go. We are in the renaissance of NA beer.
I believe it.
There's
Yeah.
a great amount of really, really good NA products out there.
Sure.
You know, we've already talked about, you know, Heineken Zero,
Guinness Zero.
Guinness Zero,
Yeah.
Heineken Zero. There's Budweiser Zero.
And those are just the macros, like not to mention all these smaller companies.
The
out there.
smaller ones are the best. One of the biggest comments from some of the national beer podcasts is that people who are looking to drink non-alcoholic beer are also looking for variety. So if you only have one option or two, that's not a big enough variety to hold a person who is, say, let's doing dry January to session at your bar because you don't have enough variety.
Right. A couple of the things that you kind of close the episode out with. Drawbacks to dry January, FOMO being kind of the main one.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're drinking, you know, Elijah's homebrew, and Joe's like, man, I want to at least smell it, but I don't, because I don't want that to kind of, you know, kick me into just jumping out of dry January when he's trying to commit to that, which I absolutely commend him for. That cannot be easier. The breakfast stout, Founder's Breakfast Stout that you had, and he's just like,
If I wasn't on the opposite
Oh,
side of
man.
the table from him, it might have broke him.
yeah.
But the other thing I want to say is, don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
right,
It's like,
right.
you know, Joe, and I wanted to mention this too. You and Joe doing dry January, it's only taken about 12 beers out of the market per month. I mean, you know, at max, like you know, I appreciate that you guys have a sensitivity to wanting to, you know, be connected to the market and, carry on business for your favorite places.
What I'm kind of curious about is, with that and with all of the non-alcoholic options that breweries do have, are you guys, since you're not doing dry January, are you guys going to still try to go to breweries throughout January, and Joe's just going to pick the non-alcoholic options that they have?
With all the
or-
snow, definitely
Yeah,
stuff
with-
has changed.
Sure.
But like this weekend, we weren't snowed in, and we were talking about, well, hey, we don't really have any plans for today. And Joe's like, we should go here for lunch because I'm gonna get it. Wait, nope, I can't. Well, we're gonna go there for dinner. And it's like, because we can get some beer. Oh wait, no, I can't do that. It's like, well, I'm like, but that's like, we can still go there if you want to go there, because now
Because
you've
they
said
have
that. I
non-alcoholic
want that
options.
food.
Sure.
So he gets a Coke and I get a beer.
Yeah,
But-
for sure.
So it hasn't necessarily changed your brew. And again, the first 2 weeks of January have been weird with the snow, with, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so kudos
So-
on him, because we were snowed in with the kids for 4 days.
And he didn't have a
didn't
drug
crack.
And he didn't
So,
kill him. Good.
He's been doing
for
real
him.
good.
Good for him. Okay, so your frequency of going to breweries isn't necessarily going to change.
No.
Okay, all right. And then you said that over the next couple of episodes, we can expect to hear you guys talking about mocktails, alcohol-removed wine, and the continuation of how Dry January is going.
Yeah,
Excellent.
It'll be curious to see, because we haven't recorded any more episodes yet, whether or not I will be drinking alcohol alongside the rest of
Sure.
these. Some of these are going to be like the mocktails episode. It's going to be a little intense on my part of making cocktails.
Right.
So we have something to drink for the episode.
Nice. Well, we are looking forward to that. Do you have any other notes on this episode? Anything you need or want people to know about this episode specifically? Joe doing Dry January, or just Craft Parenting Pod?
I'm super
We'll
proud
kind
of
of
him.
revisit that at the very end with you plugging all of your stuff. But
Yeah, I'm super proud of him and what he's doing.
yeah.
I'm going to do dry March-ish. We'll see.
As long as it's after.
Oh,
Bach
that sounds
Fest.
great.
After Bachfest,
Yes.
we'll
Yeah.
see
Yes.
how that goes.
Oh, yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a super quick break because I didn't leave the table during our last break, and I need to leave the table now. So you guys can take that as you will. And then we are going to talk about the one, the only Shift Beers.
Woo!
We'll be right back. Well, as has been said many a time on a certain podcast, it's been a while.
Been a while.
It's been a while.
We get to talk about one of our favorite shows, one of the shows that actually kicked off the idea to start Truth Beer and Consequences.
Shift beers. No, it's Craft Parenting Pod. It's the reason why we started.
It's the only. Well, I mean, Shift Beers is the only reason that we knew that Craft Parenting Pod was out there was because of a tag of Shift Beers that you guys did or
Correct.
did on one of the posts.
That's correct.
And we're like, hey, we need to check that out. And
I think we're still one of the few people that regularly add hashtag shift beers to some of the beers that we do.
Good news, the websites are coming back.
Back.
So check them out. Let's see. This is episode 123, beers you would bring to Christmas, which means they are even ahead of us as far as their beers to recommend to people to bring to Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas.
They did at the beginning of the year. We do ours in December. So props to them for...
Way to be ahead of stuff.
No freaking kidding.
I also loved how they mentioned we're going to have a New Year's episode.
Right. It's like
what?
I mean, technically...
Okay.
Well, I guess technically this made it their New Year's episode since it came out in the new year.
Yeah.
It's a combination
Clearly
episode.
it was recorded a while ago.
Which
I
is
think
fine.
Josh forgot how to edit.
It was just as exciting
Josh did not
to see
forgot
this
how to
post.
edit. Josh forgot how to prioritize.
It's fine. It is fine. I love that the
prioritize editing his podcast. He has plenty enough
of
stuff,
other stuff,
that he has to prioritize.
I loved that the game was back, except for Brian, who never existed anyway. So it was Beth, Chris,
Button Brian.
Maybe.
and Josh getting together again. I'm not sure. They weren't at the garage beer. They were at Beth's, weren't they? Because they were talking about taco.
They were
Cats.
at Beth's.
Yeah.
They
So
were
many
at
cats.
Beth's.
Lots and lots of cats.
Have you been to Beth's?
I have not been to Beth's.
Let's go.
I have not even been to Chris's. I've just been to the golf course in their neighborhood.
Let's go to both.
heckle golfers, which
You know
was
what? Let's
the
go to
most
both.
fun of all time. Okay,
Caroline,
let's do it.
let's
go to both.
Are we getting in the truck?
Truck nuts.
Oh, bring the nut.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Their drinking segment actually wasn't super long. It wasn't a majority of the
No, it
episode,
wasn't.
which
'Cause
shows that they don't know what they're doing anymore. They forgot.
So much forgot of what they're doing, and
Drinking only lasted from about 3 minutes and 50 seconds in to about 22 minutes. It may be the shortest drinking in Shift Beer's history.
well, they're also
and I didn't know what to do
missing-
about that.
They're also missing Brian,
Well, yes, this is true. He's normally about 90% of the drinking.
and he starts the drinking.
True.
I mean, he's going to be a father, so he's got to figure out his life.
I don't know about
He
that.
still has a couple months to
I don't
figure
know
that
about
out.
that.
It's fine.
I don't know what that means. I don't know about that.
They talked about the joy of pocket beers, which I got to experience pocket beers when Jangle and I went down to wrestling down in Kentucky.
Yeah, you did.
I still say that was the best beer trade of all time. I gave him a new Glarus. Was it the raspberry something or other? And in return, I got 2 Natterdays. Fucking fantastic. Best beer trade ever.
All right.
You don't remember that?
I do.
That was phenomenal. But no, pocket beers are the best beers. If you don't know what pocket beers are, listen to this episode of Shift Beers. It is one of the most fun beer conversation podcasts out there, outside of ours, of course.
And of course, it's propping up another woman in beer voice
Hell yes.
in Beth,
Well-
except for the fact that she's not in beer anymore.
Hey, she has some very good, unethical life pro tips.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
look, I'm not going to spoil it because this is actually fantastic content. I am
it
not
really
going to
is.
spoil it.
Yeah.
Beth left the craft beer industry, went to work, and
Took a vacation.
And then
where
there's
it went
other
from
stuff.
there, yes.
There's other stuff.
Yes.
I'm not
It's-
going to spoil it because it's part of the magic of the episode
But
and
like-
the magic of them.
Like Caroline said, it may not necessarily be the most ethical, but it is the most brilliant life hacks if you can pull it off that will
it's
ever
just,
exist.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Chris lost his truck in Bowling Green. He and Josh went up there,
Yeah,
and he lost his truck.
I'm not surprised. I'm also
No.
not surprised how
Wait, did Chris lose the truck or did Josh lose the truck?
I think it was
Chris's
a group
truck.
effort.
It's Chris's truck, but I feel like Josh was the one that lost it.
Well,
I
but
feel like-
if it's your truck, you should take the responsibility of remembering where you parked it.
That's
my
too much
job.
work. As a
So-
passenger princess, that's your one job.
Oh, good fucking lord.
Yeah, I get that. What I would say is that, well, I'm not either of them, so I'm not going to say. But yeah, I get that. But what I'm also surprised at is how quickly and nonchalantly they move on from "I can't find my truck, bro" to "We found my
Dude, where's my car?
I found my car and let's go fucking party more."
Well,
Yeah.
they got amazing breadsticks.
And they didn't bring us any.
No.
Apparently these, I need to know more about these breadsticks because if I can recreate these, I need to. That's just what I'm thinking. When I'm hearing this, I'm like,
It sounds
How
like a
can
long
I-
calzone.
hey now.
Yeah, stuffed breadsticks. Calzone's just a folded in half pizza. So.
Yeah, hey now.
Yeah.
Anything's a pizza if you think about it enough.
Hey. Oh.
Yeah,
Hey.
I can see that.
How about-
Open face sandwich, is that a pizza?
Hey.
It has a crust of sorts, and then it has the toppings on it. I mean, you could make these absolutely infuriating arguments all night long.
A sandwich is a double-decker pizza.
A hot dog's a sandwich. A taco's a sandwich. Or a hot dog's a taco.
A hot dog's a taco.
Is a hot dog. I mean, my God, the ways that we are pissing people off right now by saying these things, absolutely amazing, phenomenal. This is the content you guys came here for.
My eyes are
Marcus,
just,
he is
they're
incensed.
spinning like in The Price of Right, that thing that just spins around. with
Marco's
the-
at a loss for words. That's how bad it got.
It's pretty bad. It is pretty bad. And speaking of their conversation on trucks and truck accessories, which kind of pulls your truck nuts comment back. Yes, you can buy cigarette adapters, the little push-in things on Amazon, a 2-pack for $6, or I'm sorry, $7, and now Amazon will not stop saying, "Hey, you were looking at this. Do you want to keep looking at this?" And I'm like, God
You
damn it,
killed
guys.
your algorithm.
I've done that with ship beers more times than I care to admit. This is probably one of the more tamer things that ship beers has caused me to Google.
Yeah. I would agree.
Oh my God.
I would agree.
So if you are interested in buying these, I will put a link to this Amazon item in the show notes because I had to look it up. So I'm gonna. Well, no, I didn't have to. I kind of was curious.
No, you did.
made that
No, you did.
decision.
I
No,
made that
it
decision.
was for the podcast.
It was for the pod. I was
We communicated you needed to
contractually
find out.
required. Absolutely, 100%. But
Marco
yeah, so-
decided that you needed to kill your algorithm.
Oh my algorithm is so fucked no matter what I use anyway. So you know what? Why not add to the complete randomness of what the internet shows me, which is what the internet's about
I listen
anyway.
to some of the stuff
randomness.
Julia does, and yeah, her algorithms. Yeah, and I'm in some of the Facebook ancillary Facebook groups that she's in, and yeah, I mean, the Google search is kind of fucked.
Yeah, no kidding. They got into the beers that they would bring to Christmas. We're not going to go into those a ton, but I will say that they had a huge focus on foil being the absolute antichrist to any beer.
I also want to
foil
say.
tops.
I also want to say that they said they didn't want to bring Christmas beers.
And also Cousin Eddie. That's what I was screaming at my radio in my car while you guys were talking about.
I was
The
too.
shitters being full.
And
Yes.
then they said Julia's screaming at us, and I'm like, she totally is.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
So mad. You guys made me so mad.
Well, I mean, first of all, you said beers you would bring to Christmas.
Yes.
And then they said, but not Christmas beers.
Yeah.
And then
because, right, which I understand what they were saying. So not like
It's not a
Great Lakes
requirement
Christmas
that it
ale
has
and
to
all
be
that.
a Christmas
Yeah,
beer.
Yeah. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a holiday ale. It's not. It's just what else would you bring to drink for Christmas? So I got it. It was absolutely.
I would be happy to discuss their options with them. I think
Okay,
that's
okay.
maybe a better way to say it. It's like, I have things I can say about their options. Go and listen.
They relived soundboard buttons, which was phenomenal, and also Beth and Gail's beer festival.
It was
trip.
amazing. That
I
if
need to
you
meet
go
Gail.
back and listen,
It brought me to
was-
tears.
Yes.
It was amazing.
Yes. We all need to meet Gail. We all want to be Gail when we grow up, I think.
Gail was fantastic.
Yeah.
And the
She is fantastic.
Yes.
Gail
thank
is
you, Carol.
fantastic.
Yes.
and Shift Beers and Gail together
Are even more fantastic.
are fantastic.
Yes. One of the other notes that they talked about is something that's been brought up in multiple podcasts and in multiple Facebook groups. Stop cellaring your beers. They are put in bottles and cans at their peak for what the brewers want them to be. So, or if you hold on to them, don't do it for very long.
Yeah.
Whenever, like, I still have a couple of bottles that I'm like, oh, well, I want to share this with people. I want this to be for, like, a get-together for... I want it to be an event to drink these and not just drink it just because it's a random Thursday. Well, guess what? The flavors are going to fall out of those beers before that thing happens. Just fucking drink the beers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, which kind of harkens back to Craft Parenting Pod. You guys have some amazing cellared beers that you guys keep finding in your fridge.
Yeah, I mean, we do have at least 3 good beers that I can think of. Probably, actually 4.
Okay.
One of which we acquired at Beers, Booze, Boobs, Bonks, Binks.
Bobcats.
Yeah, Bobcat.
Bananas.
I
and-
love boobies.
Yeah, and then one of which we acquired from our 100th episode, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, gosh.
And then 2
You're
from
welcome.
Warped Wing
I'm sorry.
that eventually we're going to drink them.
Yeah.
They're in the door.
There you
that
go,
means
yeah.
they're for the podcast. Eventually it's going to
There you go.
happen. Just have to wait till, I guess, February at this point.
All right. Let's see. What else do we need to run through? Arizona tea is no longer 99 cents, which I will put in the show notes. The sketch about the prices on the can, which is hilarious if you've never seen it before.
Well, it's Arizona.
That explains it all. All I'm going to say is to harken back to Barstool Perspectives. If the price of the Costco hot dog goes up, we will know that the apocalypse is certainly upon us all.
I agree.
Yes. The button showed up in the last 20 minutes of the episode. So maybe he does exist, or they have really gotten better at their buttons in their hiatus period.
There's a lot that you can do with AI these days.
I know, right. That's kind of what I was thinking. I'm like, maybe he's AI generated. Started off as buttons, and now he's just an AI thing floating around the pod sphere.
Yeah.
No one knows. And then what they closed the episode with was probably the most brilliant top 5 beer category, which they said more than 5. I love this so much.
It was
what
so
are
great.
it was. What are your favorite beers? And not brands, but essentially drinking scenario beers? Would that be a fair way to say it?
Yeah, and Beth was saying all this super killer stuff, and the
Yes.
guys were like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So I know that they said Julia's writing them all down. I actually did, but we're not going to tell you all of them because we want you to listen to this episode of Shift Beers because it's so much fun. But anyway, the scenario beers, I guess is what I'll call them. I absolutely love this idea. Some of the things that they brought up to give you an idea of this are the shift beer, the post-mowing your lawn beer, or the post-mow lawn beer, if you want to give a shout out to New Ales.
Post-mow
and their
lawn beer.
post-mow lawn. I think that I would, if I had to throw one into the top 5 scenario beers that they threw in, the post-workout beer is another kind of really classic one. The pocket beer. The beer that you managed to sneak in somewhere
That's a
is
good
one
one.
of the best beers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do either of you have a scenario beer that would fit into this category?
I think Caroline is if this or when this happens, the kids grew out of diapers beer.
Those are, so like the beers these days hit a lot better because I don't have to worry about the children as much as far as like you can like 3/4 take care of yourself. Like every once in a while I have to throw snacks at you.
Yeah.
But you can change your clothes, you can go to the bathroom. Like we're there right now. So like Friendsgiving this year, it was, I can prep the turkey and not have to worry about what the kids are doing. And
Nice.
I can hang out with the adults upstairs while all the kids are wreaking havoc downstairs because, like, you're on the younger spectrum of the kids that are down there. But, like, I know you're going to be
Have that glass
okay.
of wine. You can have that beer.
yeah.
I'll add the podcast beer to the list. I absolutely love the beers that I'm having while we're sitting down and just just recording and just
Yeah.
having great conversations and
Yeah.
having a lot of fun and trying to
So
be funny.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
And then the weird one for me that I have is a mid-performance beer. So like,
Okay, yes, please. You need to I want
do
you
you
to
want more
explain.
information?
I do and I don't because I love like the potential like where the hell could this go? I want to know and I don't want to know. So, here, would you be okay
If you
your
leave this for
explanation
Patreon,
is
yeah.
Patreon? Okay, so
I'm
if
totally
you,
fine with that.
If you want to know what Caroline's halfway performance beer, and what did you call it? No,
I said mid-performance beer.
Mid-performance beer is, sign up for our Patreon. I'll tell you how to do that when we finish up this episode. And then coming back from the bit of Patreon bonus there, Marco, do you have a specific scenario beer that is in your top 5 that you would want to throw out as we wrap up our recap of shift beers?
Throw out.
Yeah, so like you and Caroline both kind of agreed on the like I don't have to have an eye on my kids every single second of the day.
Yeah.
Caroline threw out the mid-performance beer. I kind of said the podcast beer and the pocket beer. Do you have one that none of us have said before that, or are all of your thoughts kind of in line with what Shift Beer said and what we've already?
I think what's crazy is my craft beer journey has had many different levels and things to it, and all of my kids have come along with me on this journey, meaning that I brewed beer, I brewed beer at home, and I wound up being, and I was a retail manager and wound up being
right.
full scale in the industry. To ask me about this, it's really interesting. I don't know.
Do you ever have like a desk drawer beer? Where like you've had a beer hide in your desk drawer?
No, I didn't.
I mean, if they all fit with what kind of has already been thrown out there, that's fine. I just didn't want to leave you as like the only one that didn't get an opportunity to say if there was some other scenario that we just haven't thrown out there yet. You don't have to have something.
No, it's good. It's good. I love this.
It's a great question. It's a great right.
I love this. I love this.
And that's why I love Shift Beer so much, is because they bring up stuff like this, and I'm like,
They make a top 5 and turn it into their top 20.
Yes. Well,
and then
so
they
Sonder,
have 3 number 4s.
No, that's Sonder. But no, like don't come up with something that's like, what people think of if someone says, what are your top 5 beers? People are thinking brands and specific, Mantry's, double seeing colors or Carlsberg or whatever. Shift Beer says it, and they're saying, what is the scenario that you're having a beer that you're like, man, I love a beer in this situation? Like they look at it in such a different light. Not all the time, but it's amazing. I love this show. Any time that they are able to put out an episode, no matter if it's every week or every year, I'm in.
I used to be a general manager for a furniture company. And my wife and I used to be in charge of a place in Memphis. And Memphis has a highway. I think it's Highway 40. I'm not sure.
That goes through most of Tennessee, so I'd go with yes.
When I managed those places, I would know that I could, hit New Orleans on the way, and I would go that way.
The first time you're back home. Is that what you're looking for?
Beer? Right.
I think it was more like that. It's like I was away from home, but now I'm back home.
Yeah, the first year when you're
situation.
back home, either that your home city or your house, whatever.
Or
Yeah.
just with
That
your
works.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. That fits. Any other notes on this episode of Shift Beers before the burp count, which is where our counting game started?
I can't believe you forgot to mention that we now have to look at labels with microscopes. Magnifying glass is the other word I'm looking for.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes the magnifying glass isn't enough, and you do got to break out the microscope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm going to be looking at beer labels really close now.
You never know what you're missing if you don't examine them closely.
Yep.
So the way that our counting game, we'll give a little bit of history about that, because some people are like, okay, wait a second, your sip count game doesn't make any sense. Well, it all stemmed from shift beers and their audible burps on the pod. Because most podcasts, most shows, they try not to have those burps be audible. They try to kind of like stifle them down or turn away from the mic. Shift beers embrace them from day one.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so we decided we needed to count them, but we thought, well, okay, we can't just count them. There has to be a drinking game surrounding how many burps are audible throughout all their episodes. And then Marco looked up, did some interneting, did some searching, and the algorithm provided to him that the average drink is 2 ounces.
You said
the average sip. The average sip is 2 ounces, yes. So we said,
Well,
okay, for
drink,
every
sip. I mean, actually, that's where it becomes
That's
hazy.
where we get into the weeds on.
Yeah, to where people argue with us. That's not right. It's like, you know what?
We about to go fight in the snow.
It's
Just
not an
wanna tell
actual
you,
game. You know what? It's just something for us to have fun.
Fine, but we're counting 2 ounces, by the way.
Yes. So for every audible burp on shift beers, we said we had, an air quote drinking game, take a 2 ounce sip. And so we counted up how many pints you would have to consume if playing this air quote drinking game during shift beers.
Yeah.
And then when shift beers took their hiatuses and where more YouTube content, visual content came up, we were like, well, they're not really burping on those, but we can count the sips that they're taking. So that's where the sip count comes from. And for people like the Gnome who will smell the beer more than drinking the beer because he's talking a lot. Yeah.
It's
so we
very
count the
hard
snip.
to do an episode
absolutely.
by yourself.
Yes. I don't know how Gnome does it as frequently as he does. Kudos to him. So this episode of Shift Beers, episode 123, which was also 1 hour and 23 minutes long. I don't know if you guys planned that, but good fucking job for matching that up. Oh, shit. In this episode of Shift Beers, there were a total, it wasn't their highest number, wasn't their lowest number. They had 34 audible burps. And again, sometimes we miss them. Sometimes you can't tell if it's a burp, if it's a chair squeaking. I do my best when I have my clicker out and I'm counting these things up. So 34 audible burps, 68 ounces. That is 4.25 pints.
This
in an hour and
episode was
23
Take care of
real
that.
awkward at work as I kept cracking open beers.
Yeah, you got to be careful where you do the drinking game.
Let's go.
Although we have said it doesn't have to be an alcoholic beverage.
If you can crack open, let's go.
Yeah, but if you can't, do the drinking game with water. You will be peeing for the next 5 hours. They did a great job. I am so happy that we got this episode and that they didn't decide.
Always on time.
I'm glad that they didn't just say, well, it's after Christmas, we're just not going to put this episode out, because every episode of theirs is ridiculously fun. If you've never listened to it, listen to this episode, then just go back and click on a couple random episodes. They are a hell of a lot of fun. It is a great group of people.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's fair to say that we try to mimic them in a way to where we're just friends sitting around talking, having fun as we talk about what we've been watching and listening in the Cincinnati craft beer world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fair.
All right. Hopefully we'll get another episode before 2026. We shall see. Do either of you have any other notes before we wrap this shit up?
No.
Nope.
All right. Caroline. Caroline!
Hey.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks
It was-
here, wait, where'd they go?
Oh.
No. Thanks for putting up with me.
Caroline's going to get muted again. What do you want to plug? What do you want to share out to the world about everything you're doing, Joe's doing, Craft Parenting Podcast is doing?
So at Craft Parenting Podcast on most of your major social media platforms. We're doing Dry January. Our goal is to record.
Well, when you say we.
Joe.
Okay.
Joe is doing Dry January.
I just don't want anyone being like, hey, you were drinking beer on Truth Beer Pod. It's like,
No, I am not doing Dry
Caroline's
January.
like, nope.
Maybe March-ish. We'll talk about it. We're looking to try to record an episode every Thursday, and if we get good at that, maybe we'll start going live every Thursday.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there.
That's awesome. Episodes are fun. Not all of them are beer related. So if you're like, hey, how come you guys skipped a couple episodes? If you looked at our back catalog, we cover the ones where they do a focus on beer, but they're parenting episodes, the trips that you guys take. If you're interested in family content, I mean, follow the Craft Parenting Podcast. I mean, it's a ton of fun, really good content.
We try to have a good time. We talk about our kids a lot because we love them a lot. Our biggest problem now is that our daughter says, when are we recording our podcast?
Hey, it sounds like there needs to be...
She's going to take over the whole thing.
She's not just going to be producer. She's going to be co-host. But will she kick out Joe or Caroline first?
Right.
We will listen to the episodes,
dun.
and we will let you guys know. All right, to go ahead and wrap this up, thank you for your listenership. We appreciate every minute you spend with us. As Marco likes to say, you can't get time back, so if you spent that with us, we appreciate the hell out of you. Go to truthbeerpod.com for information on absolutely everything that we do, including how to sign up for our Patreon. If you want to know what Caroline said that we cut out, those are unedited episodes, or I clarify, mostly unedited. I do cut out the silences when we take our breaks because no one needs 20 minutes of silence.
We should just take the microphones to the bathroom one
Oh,
time.
well, you'd have to take the whole board. It would be a whole coordination
I think the
effort.
Patreon would completely go away after that.
That, yes. I think we would have, authorities called on us if we tried to do something like that. Caroline, thank you again for being here. If you like what we did, again, just go to truthbeerpod.com. Absolutely everything's there. I'm repeating myself. So, Marco, Caroline, what are you guys going to be doing next Tuesday?
Drinking
Let's
some
do
beers.
this, Julia.
Sounds good.
Cheers.
We will see you guys next week. Bye.